There we go.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Westward Bees. We've got a special, almost like an East Coast version of West Coast Bees. Welcome, Charlie. We've got Charlie
Hey.
from Maryland, and we've got our special guest tonight, Big Mike Mannino from
New
New
Hampshire.
Hampshire.
Yep, New Hampshire.
And if you noticed, I named the YouTube Westwahd Bees, WAHD Bees, in honor of Mike and your New Hampshire roots. Welcome, Mike. Many of us know you from the Bee Expo. As we come together in Louisville, we've gotten to know each other on these chats and then meeting each other in person at the Bee Expo. And you live in New Hampshire, in Milford, New Hampshire, which is like southern New Hampshire, not too far from Boston. Like, how far from Boston are you?
On a good day, 55 minutes.
You mean Boston?
Boston, yeah,
Boston.
Yeah. So would you consider yourself kind of like a Bostonite, like as a sports person? Do you watch them?
Oh, no? I am definitely a New England fan, but I don't watch sports.
Yeah. As I get older, I watch less and less. I seem to have more time.
When I need to sleep in the afternoon, I'll put on a baseball game.
Yeah. I mean, I had a nice nap to the World Cup game the other day. I was like, oh, it's the semifinals. This must be important. 30 minutes in, I was asleep, and then I woke up, and I was like, oh, okay, there you go. So I'm with you there. Thank you, JW. Welcome, everybody, by the way. Welcome in the chats. I see a bunch of familiar names. Of course, JW's feeling his usual self tonight. I went through some of your Facebook pages, some of your pictures there to pull a couple of pictures. I got a nice picture of you, as well as there was a frame that had a sign in it saying Big Mike's Honey.
My niece gave me that several years back for Christmas.
Yeah. So what do you do with that? Is that a sign you use as you sell your honey, or is it in your honey house?
No, it's just in my shop.
Yeah. Those are nice things to have around the shop when you're working.
I've actually, I have it half mounted in a regular bee frame.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was in the picture or not.
Yeah, it looks like a story frame almost. So the sign is in the middle with the two gaps on either side. Yep. Just in case anybody's wondering, Todd will be here tonight. That's his plan. He had an issue with one of his out yards, but it seemed to be a non-issue when he got there, so he's going to be a little late. I have Barbara, who has come in the background, and we'd love to have you on, Barbara, but your device isn't connected yet, and we kind of have a rule that you need to have your video on before you can come on to the show. So if you can get that part figured out, we'd love to have you join us. As we have Mike on, Mike, will you tell us a little bit about your background in beekeeping, how you got into beekeeping? Like, tell us the backstory of Mike the Beekeeper.
About 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I had a friend put a hive in the backyard. Yard, you get that?
Yard.
Yeah. And in the following spring, he says, I need to split it. Would you like half? I said, sure. And then I caught 4 swarms that summer. And then I split. And I think either the first or second year, I had 9 hives with no beekeeping experience. But the kid that had the bees here, his father used to keep bees. So he helped me through it, starting out.
And that was, when was
that?
Then
it became an obsession.
That wasn't too long ago, though. What'd you say? When was you started?
9 years ago.
Okay. Wow. And now you're up to, what, 200 and something colonies?
Somewhere around 200 right now. I'll probably be 230 before the end of the summer.
And you don't have a formal beekeeping business?
No.
What do you do?
I sell honey here and there. I have people come up and pick up, 20 pounds at a time. And
okay.
And
so you're selling buckets. I have some of Mike's honey right here that I got in January. It's still nice and fluid. This has been sitting in like room temperature, air conditioned, and this is not crystallized at all. It's really nice looking honey. You've got the label there with you as a bee.
My niece has a little bit of a learning disability, and you see the skeps on that. and the little bees. She
Yeah.
drew me a Big Mike's honey thing, and my friend's a graphic designer. She took my label and incorporated the two.
Nice.
So there's little bees and there's a signature to the bottom. So when I got my label, she got the first bottle of honey from me.
That's cool. So you sell honey in bottles, you sell honey in buckets, wholesale, retail, just here and there, wherever?
A few buckets to close friends.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't really want to sell it in buckets.
Now,
but I've got it in a couple hair salons, hardware
Okay.
store in
Okay.
town.
And you, by trade, you're a woodworker, is that right?
Finished carpenter, framer, have a
Okay.
cabinet shop.
A little bit of everything kind of thing?
Yeah, now it just makes woodware.
Okay. Do you have a place where, like, we hear about Charlie and we hear about his sawmill and how, like, he's trying to incorporate a honey house into what infrastructure he has? Are you the same, or do you have a separate dedicated honey house, or is it like a corner in your shop?
It's an old dairy farm, and my original office was in the milk room, and now that's a honey house.
Okay. So your wood shop is a dairy farm, and inside that shop,
as you walk into the front of the shop, it was the milking room, which was my office, which now has nothing but honey processing stuff in it.
So being a dairy farm, is it set up for honey house? Like, does it have a drain and plumbing and everything?
It's got a drain, and I've got a hot water heater out in the shop.
So
my shop is about 9,000 square feet.
Was that where the tank was, Mike? The milk tank?
Yeah, that was the milking parlor.
All right, so it was the actual milking parlor then.
Yeah, because you can tell with what they've used over the years. The cement's pretty chewed up from constant cleaning and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Now, that northeast part of our country is kind of known for dairy farming, or it was known for dairy farming. Is that
it's
true?
Getting harder and harder for everybody.
Yeah. So a lot of family farms are closing down, and the typical farm story where the kids don't want to take on the farm kind of thing.
This one just does hay now.
Yeah.
But they got bought out by the government, and then milk prices came back up, so he retooled up again, and then he finally sold out. But this barn was built in '63.
Okay.
So it's fairly old.
It was like is it a staunching barn or just?
It's got 48-foot trusses hand built on the front lawn.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, I was looking at a map of New Hampshire, and I was looking at the latitudes, and I always, when I listen to your beekeeping season, I often put you in the category of the Canadian beekeepers, Alex, Brad, and Ian, based on that.
Where my camp is, and I've had bees up there, is at the 45th parallel. I want to say Brad's around the 48th.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So it's not too much farther south.
And it gets brutally cold and lots of snow up there.
And you probably have some elevation. Are you in like the Appalachians a little bit up there?
Well, we have Mount Washington in New Hampshire, and that I think that has the world record for wind speeds of well over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
My brother was up there a week ago. He said there's still patches of snow up there.
Wow. That's kind of like Colorado. You can find snow. Like
when I was there, a little taller.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But growing in New Jersey, I get that whole Appalachian, the old mountains, right? We had that going through northwest New Jersey where MJ lives. If you guys know MJ on some of the lives, he lives up in that area of the northwestern New Jersey where the Appalachians go through. Just really old mountains that are all worn down, but still really interesting places to go and walk around. Now, one thing I like to ask all the beekeepers, all the guests that come on, Mike, what's great about beekeeping in your area?
The winter's off.
The winter's off. So you get a really compressed season. You have a really short on season for beekeeping and long off. Would that be true?
It it starts to ramp up probably middle to end of March, and then by
And what are you?
October you're pretty much making sure you're fed up.
Yeah, yeah. And you get one flow, two flows. What does your honey flow look like?
We have a real good flow, and then we have a trickle kind
Okay.
of most of the summer,
Yeah.
followed by either a good flow or no flow.
Okay.
Some years, like when the goldenrod comes in, it comes in and just fills supers. I had a year we had a drought most of the summer, and they had nothing left. And then that goldenrod came in, and they were plugging out. I was actually running around trying to put some supers on the double deeps, so there was a little bit of room for them.
It sounds like a lot of beekeepers this year have had a tough year due to weather conditions where they're at, either drought, freezes, or a combination of the two. What's that been like for you up in New Hampshire?
I was talking to my friend Leo, and his black locust didn't happen. Mine didn't happen here. The guy has about 5, probably within 100 yards of my house. So
Yeah.
I know when the black locust is, but there was nothing. And I didn't really see any of the basswood, but boy, we've had a good flow. I might have just missed it.
Yeah.
I don't usually drive around looking up in the trees.
Well, did you have
on the
I
road?
know up in Pennsylvania here, they had a killing, I guess you call it a killing frost right about the time the locust trees were blooming. And I think some apples and things like that, all about the same time.
Yep.
It was a couple nights where it hit like 28 degrees and all. And it got cold here too, but not quite as bad, like 38, not quite at the freezing mark.
Rick from First Do Apiaries is a friend of mine. He lives one town over. We do a lot of beekeeping together.
And he's come down with you to the Bee Expo, right?
Yeah, and Gina.
Yeah.
Gina and I do a lot of beekeeping together. She's my official queen marker because the sausage fingers don't do so well.
So, and I want to say congratulations, Mike, as you're talking about some of your neighbor beekeepers. You were awarded the New Hampshire Beekeeper of the Year for 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What are you connected to what does the New Hampshire beekeeping community look like? As you mentioned, Rick and Gina, they're obviously a part of it. And it seems like people from like Maine and Vermont and like not just New Hampshire, beekeepers in that whole area.
The New Hampshire Beekeepers Association is like the base. And then I don't remember if there's 12 or 14 other clubs. So we're all under like a blanket insurance policy through that.
Okay.
And they have 2 or 3 meetings a year, and then they nominate somebody every year. And I had some friends write some pretty nice letters to them. And Barbara also is a member of the club. I don't know if Gina's in or not.
So is that sort of like the state organization?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the state
club.
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually have a summer picnic this weekend, and they've flown Randy Oliver in to be the keynote speaker.
Cool.
And Dr. David Peck, I think, is going to be there.
Nice. And how far, speaking of Dr. David Peck, how far are you from Better Bee? You talked about being really close to Maxant. I know Better Bee is in New York State, somewhere up north, so that's west of you. How far of a ride would it be?
It's not. I don't think it's that bad because Vermont's skinny at the southern end.
Yeah.
We're up top. It would be a long ride.
Okay.
I would imagine it's 2 or 3 hours. Same with what was it? Humble Abode. They're closing their doors. Better Be at bottom. Yeah, they make woodware. And
didn't Better Bee buy them out?
They bought them out, but there's 200 miles between the two of them.
Oh,
so they're closing that. which is
Yeah, I know
town.
there was a family
They're reasonable.
that started that woodenware company, and then they built it up to a certain point, and then they retired, and Better Be bought them out. I don't know, several years ago. I think it was, or some doctors did, or something investment company.
Your buddy's calling you out. Mike is pretty modest with that title. He was heavily recognized for the amount he steps up to help people and lends equipment and really mentors many people to work through their problems. Yeah. Thanks for adding that, Rick, because you have that perspective that we don't. I get the sense that Mike is one of those gentle giant kind of guys where he's a big guy and he looks scary if you don't know him. But the second you get to meet him, you're like, oh, this is like the nicest guy you're ever going to meet. And it just feels like everyone that meets you gets that good vibe from you, Mike. Here's my question. Do you ever meet someone that's bigger than you and you're like almost apologetic if you call yourself Big Mike?
Dirt Rooster.
Do you ever? Yeah.
Dirt Rooster's a big boy.
Yeah, he is. So do you ever like, I'm Mike, not Big Mike? Like, you know what I mean?
Big Randy?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a
He's
lot
a big
smaller
guy.
than I used to be.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, well, good thing. After taking that trip, I wouldn't have wanted to be any heavier.
And you have a B, is it a B bus? I think I saw in the parking lot of the Crown Plaza.
Yeah, I have a minivan and the plate's B bus and it's got 3 skeps on the dash.
Nice.
Well, it's because Gina and Maris rode down with me, so I had to put some bling on it for the women.
So is
And
your minivan your beekeeping vehicle? Is that what you use for beekeeping? You have a
wasn't
Suburban
supposed to
too,
be.
so-
I have a Suburban also,
Yeah.
and a Tahoe, and a
Okay.
work van. Sometimes they're all full of bee equipment.
And you have a bunch of yards, having 200 colonies. I think you said you had like 10-ish yards,
I got 14, I believe.
14 yards. So that
Yeah.
means you're driving around. What's your range like? What's your farthest yard from your house?
25 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
But,
they all-
like I have a mating yard right now that's pushing 80 colonies,
Okay.
And I've got it surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4 yards within probably a mile and a half for drones.
Okay.
So I have pretty good mating.
You also come from an area that has some pretty interesting American history when you think about the revolution and people coming across, starting our country, as well as beekeeping history. There's a lot of beekeeping history in that Vermont, New Hampshire, northern New York area. There's the Mraz family that was very famous in Vermont. Now we know Mike Palmer, Kirk Webster. Now we hear of Troy Hall in that area. How has being a beekeeper in that area shaped you? How has that impacted kind of your style as a beekeeper?
I learned a lot from Michael Palmer. I've been spending a fair amount of time, and friends of mine have gone up twice this year to help Troy catch queens, which is go into a yard with 200 mating nukes.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and, hey, Troy, got one. Comes over, marks it, takes it. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, and we've gone up to help Michael Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
After he got in an accident last year, and we went up, and Gina and I went up and helped him. We spent 2 days up there. I have friends that live in the same town, so we had a place to stay. It's a 3+ hour ride for us. But there's only 7 turns from his house to mine.
Yeah.
But one of it's 180 miles on the same highway.
Yeah. Are you a treatment-free beekeeper?
No, but I'm a limited treatment. Last year, I only did 1 round of oxalic acid in the fall.
Okay. Now, I know Kirk Webster is very big on treatment-free, listening to or reading a lot of his works and hearing his history. He was a big name in the treatment-free industry. I think Troy Hall has kind of picked up that kind of flag
He
in
had
that
a
area.
tremendous loss one year. His nukes do not get treated the first year.
Okay.
Any queen he's breeding from has never been treated.
Yeah.
He checks them out. I bought a instrumentally inseminated one that he sent his virgins out and had done. It's a red queen. It's 4 years old. It's never had a treatment. And that's what I've been grafting off some of mine this year. It's from a Russian line he has.
Do you find many local beekeepers in that area are getting queens from producers like Troy or Kirk or
Yeah,
even Mike Palmer, as opposed to like the big queen producers in the country?
some of each. My friend Gina got what are they? Pull lines this year.
Yeah. Yep.
The Varroa sensitive.
Yep.
And boy, they seem to be laying really well and doing a nice job. But
Yeah.
we won't be able to tell till we start doing harbors in the fall.
Yeah.
And
So what's
but
your purpose of doing harbos? Are you looking for a breeder for the following year?
Yes.
Okay.
Because like I said, my bees last year only got one oxalic acid in the fall.
Yeah.
So they didn't get a lot of treatments. I don't treat in the spring at all, and never have.
So you're I would call you kind of towards treatment free.
I would like to be, but if I find something that throws up a red flag, I don't have a problem putting the formic treatment on it either.
Yeah. Yeah. So you will intervene. Do you have like a quarantine yard?
No. Well, I used to call it my swarm yard, but now it's just full of hives that have been there. And I don't replace my queens, and I probably should. No, I had more probably failures after they made it out of spring before they could make a new queen.
Okay.
Because I had a lot of 3 and 4 year olds.
So hold on a second. You don't replace your queens even though you should, but you have a lot of mating nukes with new queens in them. Where are those queens going?
Well, this year they may go. I like to let them, like I have 2 big hives right in my backyard.
Yeah.
They're got to be 6 years old. I've never done anything to them other than give them an occasional treatment and put honey supers on them. They make their own queens.
Yeah.
How
so
often
you're letting them requeen themselves.
Like I have a bunch this year that really they're nothing. And with this batch of queens, I will go in and break them down and make 1 or 2 hives, 3 hives out of each one of them.
Yep.
And maybe dispatch the queen or put her in a zombie nuke for a few months.
So that'll be a smaller colony. How big will you get that to go into winter? Will you overwinter it like the Mike Palmer style? Do you use those double nuke kind of boxes?
I made probably about 14 pairs, with swarm cells at the beginning of the year. And some of them are in 4 or 5 deeps already. And with this round, I can start going to pull the brood. And, they got honey on them. My mini mating nukes are 5 deeps high, the ones that I overwinter. And I've made 60 double mating nukes out of them so far, and they're still that tall. I got some.
Help me understand that mini mating nuke stacked.
A 4-way mating nuke, which is the size of a deep box.
Okay.
It's split in the middle, and then it's split again.
So it's split a 10-frame deep box split 4
so
ways. Stacked 5 high.
I eliminate the center partition on both sides.
Okay.
And then I give them boxes. And I overwintered 9 of them. And
it's kind of like Michael's setup, right?
Yeah, except for their small frames going in the opposite directions. And right now I've got a couple, 2, 3. I even put some mediums up there. They drew them out. They've got 2 deeps, so it's like a full-size deep off a high. And a medium, there's probably 60 pounds on one of these mating nukes. And then after that, it's all brood.
Do you ever get queen drifting in those 4-way boxes?
Not really, because I paint them all different colors.
Okay.
I don't, but Troy's are all the same, like wax dip brown.
Yeah.
And he
No
does
color
well
variation.
with them too.
Interesting. I kind of have this theory based on only anecdotal evidence that there are parts of the country that are probably easier, or you can be more successful with less treatments because of the pockets of genetics. And I think the area that you live in, because of the people doing what they're doing, is one of those areas. Down near the USD lab in Baton Rouge is another area, because they're pushing out all those pole line queens that to everyone in that local area. So you see people like Jeff Horchoff, some people down there that are being treatment free. I don't think it's just because they're playing the numbers, which they are doing, but I also think it's because there's a higher percentage of bees out there that have some of those mite resistance behaviors.
Yeah,
Do you see Go ahead, Charlie.
that's like Eddie that comes in on. He's down
Yeah.
there
Yep.
with that operation, and it's a 5-year study, and they're starting to notice the bees out in the trees there's more survivability. They're kind of flooding the area with those
That's
type
right.
of things.
And that's really exciting. And I see that a little bit in the Northeast as well from afar. I look at the Vermont Bee Lab, a lot of the work that they're doing, and it's very similar to the SBGMI, where they're being very proactive in promoting education about all the stuff around mite resistance, varroa genetic hygiene. Like, how'd you learn the Harbo assay, Mike? Where'd you learn that from? Was it going
The
to
New
Troy's?
Hampshire Beekeepers Association got a grant.
Yeah.
And Troy Hall put it on up at his apiary. I went up a day early. We pulled 22 frames of brood out of 22 hives, labeled them, did mite washes on them, and even one of them was a Corey Stevens, and that pulled a 4 on the Harbo.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, because you can see some had plus 30, some had plus 20, some had 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
All in the same apiary.
And that's one of those things. The Harbo assay is not a difficult thing to do. And there's information out there. That's right. But as you consume all of the media out there, you can watch all the videos, you can read the Harbo, like John Harbo has how to do it on his website. But if you don't do it with someone else, like the experience of doing it with someone else can take you from that like armchair research to really being confident. When we went to Corey Stevens' place, and it was the exact same thing. He had frames pulled from every colony that were numbered. We sat in his garage and went through them. And the first frame took me 45 minutes. And it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. It was like, am I seeing what I'm supposed to be seeing? Is there really nothing in this cell? Is there really nothing in this cell? And then you open one and then you really see something and you're like, oh, now I can
start
really
to know where to look, because a non-phoretic mite poops wherever it wants.
Right.
Where, a phoretic mite will, what is it, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, somewhere around there?
Yeah.
It's usually where you find the frass.
Yeah. So the Harbo assay is a pretty tedious assay. You're not going to do all 200. How do you select the ones in your yards that you're going to test?
Good honey, good disposition.
Yeah. So a lot of informal metrics, the colonies you like best for other reasons.
Yeah. Like I just grafted off a Caucasian that Seth Hill sent. It's a red dot, so she's 4 years old also.
Oh, wow.
But he used Bob Benny's breeder queen to graft back then.
Right. Gotcha.
And I had one die last year, early spring, and one swarmed last year. And this was the last one. I found her this year. She had the most faded red dot on her. Thank God Seth usually covers them, so there was still a little bit left. But that's what's going in the mating nukes tomorrow.
Do you find that queens last longer because you have a shorter season and they just don't get a chance to lay as long in the season?
I don't know, because I never beekeeped anywhere but here.
Okay. Look what
and I also.
Hey, Todd.
Hey, Todd, how are you? I like to see how they do year after year. If I have a crappy queen, I'll replace her.
Yeah.
But if
What,
she,
what
you
is?
know, I
How
had,
long is your season, Mike? I mean, from like when does the honey flow start until it ends?
probably in May it starts, trickles in, and then it ramps up and we got all the fruit bloom trees and everything else, and it'll go right in through September.
Oh, that late?
Ups and downs.
Yeah. Now, see, for here, it used to be, depending on late March. The weather at night would be colder, but I used to say we used to have honey flow April, May, and June, and we were done by 4th of July, which we still are. And here in the last 2 or 3 years, March and then even April is cold, and we just don't have quite the flow because of temperatures and stuff. But I think like Brian's talking about there about like I'm trying to replace my queens yearly because I still say because I do the demery thing where I'm pushing to lay eggs all the time. That to me that burns them out in a year's time, and then they're not very productive the next year if you leave them in there. Now with yours, you just keep stacking and packing boxes, and they do whatever they do naturally, and
Sometimes they swarm.
And then sometimes they swarm.
I had, most of the ones that swarm, I pull anywhere from 3 to 6 frames of cap brood out of them in the spring. They go, and I find that puts them right about back to peak when the honey flow starts. And the ones that have been swarming lately are the ones that were doing nothing all spring, and now they're up to where it's swarm time.
Todd, welcome. We missed you. We had a great chat so far. We've been learning all about Mike's backstory and what it's like to keep bees in New Hampshire. Tell us what happened. You had a bit of bee emergency that wasn't. Tell us.
Yeah. So, first of all, I've been listening to you guys ever since 7. And
awesome.
I just got home like 5 minutes ago. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. So,
Better go get a taco.
Yeah. So yeah, this morning I got a text from one of the landowners that I have bees on, and she kind of described.
What's that? The one next to Karen?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So Karen's son-in-law talked to me last Saturday, right? But anyway, to back it up, so she tells me on text that, hey, did you come in this morning? Because the gate's wide open, and it's a gate to their pasture that's in front of their house. They've got like a 25-acre pasture in front of their house. And I said, no, I didn't come in. And she said, well, some of the boxes are moved around, and there's one that's laying on the ground, and it kind of looks like it was messed with. And I thought, oh, great. So I was busy at work. 5 o'clock came. Well, I didn't get out of the office till 5:15 because my boss wanted to discuss some things. So I drive home, I change, I go out there, everything's fine. Everything's hunky-dory. But I was kind of worried for a while because those people, I guess, are a little off kilter, let's say. So yeah, it kind of scared me a little bit, but it is what it is. And the bees are doing fine out there. They're actually getting more nectar than my other bees are getting at the farm. So I guess the blue curl is starting up out there. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, everything's good. And then it took me a while to get home because they had a detour on the road. There was a hay truck that tipped over, and there's hay all over the roadway. So I had to I'd turn around and go all the way around the long way. That's why I'm late. But I did check out, that yard is doing pretty good with the bees.
That's just mean, Todd.
So Todd, I'm wondering, you heard my comment about pockets of the United States that might have higher genetic resistance in
Yeah.
bees. Do you see anything like that in California? Or is there just so many bees in California?
Yeah,
And so much.
there's a lot of bees. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there are regions or areas where it's different, but
Yeah.
overall, I don't. There's just too many beekeepers. Like there's a lot down in Southern California in the high desert. There's a ton up north, and everywhere in between. There's a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad these big beekeepers are doing this. I'm going to start there. But I've seen this year a lot of selling Randy Oliver queens. And I think a lot of what's happening is people get queens and then they raise queens and the genetics get kind of diluted quite a bit. And then what happens is people buy those Randy Oliver queens and then they find out that the queen they got is just any other queen. And then the Randy Oliver queens get a bad name because of the dissemination of all these genetics. And I just want to caution people to not make these conclusions based on daughters of daughters of daughters kind of thing. There's a lot of people. I think that probably Corey Stevens deals with the same thing. Is this a Corey Stevens queen, or is this a daughter of a Corey Stevens queen that you bought? That, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's not valuable, but I think a lot of people get the wrong. They expect something. They expect something off the shelf that's mite resistant, right? So they expect to do that mite shake and get a 0 because that's what that product is advertised. And when that doesn't happen, people sour on that product. And I don't think that's right. I think there is going to be a dissemination of those genetics, and it is going to dissolve over time. But I think that people have to keep doing like Mike's learning those skills from those other people around how to identify those traits that you're looking for. So when you buy a daughter of a daughter and you buy 5 of them, you can pick the best one to then go back and graft off of. But maybe I would say to people, be cautious about calling that line of bee, because at some point it really isn't anymore, even if it still has some of those same traits. Mike, do you do anything besides Harbo assay? Have you done freeze kill, the pin kill?
I have the pin kill. I have the UBO. I just full-time work and this many bees. I haven't really got to it, and I've had quite a few injuries this year. Starting with another one yesterday, the day before.
Yeah. That's been my year too, man. And knock on wood, it's been a while since I've hurt myself.
So when we're up with Troy, and we're collecting queens, he really checks them out. Like, the other day he found one that had a bad leg. He just crushes it right there. This queen's too small. He crushes it.
Yeah.
It doesn't go into his sales at all, which is good to see, but you won't ever find that in a big outfit.
Sure.
He micromanages himself.
Yeah, quality control changes the bigger you get, for sure. And just for efficiencies, that quality control has to change. So I think looking at a smaller breeder is one way that a customer can get, I don't want to say guarantee, but have a little bit more likelihood to have that attention paid to whatever queens they're getting. But again, animal husbandry is so tricky. I mean, it's not a product, and I see so many beginning beekeepers expect this is an Italian bee, so it should behave this way. It's a Caucasian bee, so it should behave.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Way.
They behave the way they want to behave.
I tell people, it's like children. They have the exact same genetics and the exact same parents, and they're going to be tremendously different. It's the same thing with bees. You have to expect a bell curve of behavior. And I don't know how many of this queen you have to be able to have an experience with to get a good sense of what that line is like. But it's not 1. I know that. And it's probably not even 5, and 10 is probably not enough either. So you have to have experience with the line. You can't just buy one type of bee. You can't buy one Saskatraz, run that for a year, and then have an opinion about the Saskatraz bee. It's just not that simple with beekeeping's animal husbandry the way it is.
And you can buy 10 Saskatraz, set them all up the same. You're going to see some outperform the others and some are duds.
That's right. And that's the bell curve of behavior. And that's hard for the hobbyist beekeeper to understand because they don't see enough colonies to start to see that bell curve. When you see 3 colonies, it's hard to kind of create that bad, good, awesome. They're just 3 colonies. But when you have 20, I was working with people today. I've been hiring. There's these 2 guys that work at a fruit stand, and they're one of the peoples that have been struggling this year because of the freeze. So they don't have much work. So I've been hiring them like one morning a week to do some heavy lifting stuff. And today, where did I start this? I lost my train of thought as I started my story. What was my point of telling you about these guys working with me? I lost it.
You're not getting hurt.
Not getting hurt, but that wasn't my point. That's been one of the benefits, and that's been awesome. What was I trying to tell them about today? It'll come back when I'm not thinking of it. But that's been nice. It's been great having those guys working for me. We've been shaking honey boxes. One day we put the oxalic acid strips in between my deep, so they were picking up the boxes, tipping them back, and I would just put them underneath there. We're talking about mite resistance, and I still can't remember what I was talking about them for.
Now, have you seen many mites, in your drone brood at all?
I don't really look that much, Mike.
Oh, when I'm breaking them apart and they have it, I haven't seen one yet this year.
And I don't have. First of all, my colonies haven't been making drones for quite a while. They made a shit ton of drones way back in the beginning of the season, and it hasn't been much recently. I also don't have many between my boxes because I have frames that they tend to put their drones in. So I don't see many of that behind. But I don't, like during the honey season, I don't go into my brood chambers at all. Unless, you go to a yard, you put your honey supers on, and if they're making honey, you play with the honey supers. You don't go into the brood chamber. If they don't make honey, then those supers get distributed to other boxes or other colonies in that yard. And then I go into that colony to see why they're not making honey. So I rarely go into my brood chambers during the honey flow. We brought some boxes back today, and I found a queen in my garage. I went in there like an hour and a half before the stream started, and like I bring boxes back to my house. They go into my truck, they go into my garage, and then any of the straggler bees, they end up leaving the garage. I'll open the door, they leave. Went to do that, and there was like a pile of bees on the floor, and I was like, And I was literally telling those guys today, we're shaking frames, and I'm like, chances are the queen's not going to be in here. I didn't have queen excluders at that point, so there's like 2 supers on, and then no queen excluders. So we were shaking bees. Sometimes an empty box, we would just shake the box and get most of the bees. I had a blower, we were blowing most of them out. But you always have bees coming back, right? So they go back into my garage, and you open up the garage and they fly out, and I have a colony on the side of the garage that those bees drift towards. But tonight I found a queen on the ground, and I'll tell you, she didn't look very big. I'm not sure. She could have been a small queen. I'm not sure where she came from. Yeah, the queen shouldn't be in here. But I was literally telling them, chances are with what we're doing, the queen won't be in the supers. And with what we're doing, 99%, this is my point, 99% of the time, this will get the queen out of there. That other 1% of the time takes so much time to do, it's not worth it to do it. So I was talking to them about efficiencies and odds, and then here I am, like Murphy's Law. Of course, I talk about it today, and then I bring home a queen. So I'm telling them the odds are queen's not going to be in this box. We've shaken them out. We've pushed them down. We probably won't have a queen in here. So, of course, now I have a queen in my garage. I don't know what colony it came from. Wasn't marked. Wasn't a very big queen. It didn't look like a virgin, but it didn't look like a very big queen. But it's like she was laying this morning if she was in that colony, because we pulled them today.
Did you find brood in your honey super somewhere?
No,
Okay.
not today. I've had that before this year, but not today.
I went through one of my hives
You-
there, and I was expecting honey supers, and
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
half of them are all full up with brood. I said, "How did you get up here?"
Yeah.
And I checked the bottom of the hive the next day, went through it methodically, and I'm like, "No, there is no queen in the bottom." So she's from downstairs. So I just put it all together and let them have at it.
Yeah, Rick, you're absolutely right.
But you're talking about the genetics and the queens, and
Yeah.
isn't it kind of a crapshoot? I think. I mean, yes, you can develop genetics, but it always seems like, from what I listen to these science folks and whatever, is that every time you have another daughter, it diminishes that genetic trait to a certain, aspect. And then when it comes to like you say, the animal husbandry, it isn't like where I can go over here and get this prize bull that's got a history and mate it up with this heifer.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have a really nice cow or whatever down the road. Whereas bees are open mated, and you're really the only way you can get, where you can really control the genetic input would be to artificial insemination, and where you would collect, I know, like up at the guy in West Virginia up there, he goes out and collects 300 or 400 drones from a specific queen that is really good, and takes those genetics and then extrapolates the semen out of all them drones, and then he has actually liquid nitrogen tanks for that stuff, and holds it and marks it and catalogs it, and actually the last time I watched some of his videos when he used to put them out, that he said he had just inseminated this queen with semen. It was 2 or 3 years old, and everything went well too. So it's, I think you can flood the area. I think there is a potential for that. I think we're starting to see that, like say down there in Louisiana.
And I think that's really what it's about. It's about pushing that needle. It's about the long game, Charlie, and you're never
It's
going
going to be
get
the
that.
long haul. It might take.
Yep.
I mean, right now it seems like, I guess they've been trying to make hygienic queens for the last 25 or 30 years at these colleges, and they've come through the years being successful to a certain extent. But I think it seems like here just recently is that we're starting to really kind of see the benefit of all that work out in the real world, I guess you would saw it, like down in Louisiana, where now they're noticing the feral bees out there, that they're more naturally mite resistant because of the genetic part of it and stuff.
And I think there are people like Corey Stevens, Jason Bragg, Troy Hall, that new generation of people that are taking that education and turning it into a business model. So whereas 25 years ago, it was the USDA trying to figure out, like that was the whole point of the poll line. They knew they had to get the commercial guys on board. And poll stands for pollination. So this is a mite-resistant bee that's built for almond pollination, because they knew those were the guys that they were going to need to produce the queens. So if they're not going to have them bought in, go ahead.
I think that, like you're saying, with the science part of it, and with the new generation of young beekeepers, that the young beekeepers they're more educated, or I'll say that there's education, not so much as that he went to college for it, but there is education opportunities for them to learn, like the what's it called, the where you're picking out the harbo, and these types of different techniques, and the understanding of all this. It's starting to come to a peak where, like you say, you got these multiple young folks out there that are starting to push out all these bees and these queens and these genetics that are positive for the overall outcome, where it filters down towards that backyard beekeeper.
Yeah. Yep.
And all, and that kind of a thing. I think it's what we're starting to see right now. At least that's what I'm starting to hear. I'm hearing this more often.
Yeah.
People are focusing in on those genetics. Hey, I want queens that do this with genetically as far as the mites and stuff like that.
Not only that, there are organizations that are focused on teaching these concepts, Charlie.
Yeah,
The SBGMI is a great example. I don't know if you guys look at the Vermont Bee Lab stuff at all. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff up in there around that same educational piece. These pockets are really, really interesting, and it's cool to see them. And it's cool to see those young guys kind of really building a business model around those kind of things. And I'm sure there are gals out there doing that as well. And I'm sure there are guys that I haven't even thought of and talked about doing other stuff in other parts of the country. But I think it's important to support those people, but again, not hold their product to some sort of unrealistic standard and then walk away and kind of talk negative about it, because that's just not the reality of
well, like you were saying earlier, you can have 10 bees and there'll be 10 different aspects of those queens, or 10 different queens, what I'm saying, from the same genetic line. But I think what we're starting to see and what we're going to see down the road is that we're pushing out those genetics and we're saturating the area, and it will gradually become a dominant trait of all these queens because of all the saturation in the beginning of what's happening right now.
Yeah. And I think Rick's absolutely right. YouTube and social media has I'm sure it's pushed the fore of our education in beekeeping tremendously. And it might not be true for every pocket of beekeeping, but there is a huge pocket of beekeeping where YouTube and social media has been really, really powerful.
Well,
and
I mean, look at it. Look what we're doing right now. Look at me. I have my own show. You guys have your own show.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I said, I have a Friday night show, and I have friends across the whole United States and Canada. And a few times there's some folks from either over in England or New Zealand that pop in, or Jamaica.
Yep.
And there's this huge community where we're helping each other out, talking about these problems, maybe saying, hey, how can I do this? How can I do that? And I say, well, try this, try that type of thing. And that in itself, I mean, you heard about me talking about it on, I think, the Monday night show about, I got this email about a Zoom meeting with the American Bee Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they got on there, and I got in, and I wish I'd have got, of course it ain't recorded. And I got on there no more than 7 minutes into it because I was out and about because I couldn't get home quick enough. And the one guy who was not having a video camera turned on, well, that's all I got to say. And like, he was done, and he had this other guy with his beard, and I guess he lived in Texas someplace. And I kind of got the gist, maybe he was the president of that club or organization. And it's like, any bee questions? And I'm like, well, first thing is you got to turn the darn chat box on. Whoever set this thing up didn't know what they were doing. And I told them that. And it's like, where's the 45-minute PowerPoint presentation, people?
Yeah.
You said that you're going to have these two sideliners, and it was going to be about sideliners and, somebody that's like myself. I don't consider myself a full-fledged sideliner. I'm in between there.
But here's the thing: you could call up 3 guys and have a conversation on YouTube tomorrow night and have a way better conversation about sideliners just shooting from the hip.
Yeah. And these guys are just sitting there like, well, they were, I call them older. At least they looked a little bit older. That I ain't young either. But it's like, you guys, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to talk. Your organization is disorganized.
And I'll tell you, these chats are really powerful, and information gets disseminated in ways that you have no idea. Like, you guys know that guy Pete Morris who lives in Colorado? He doesn't come on very much, but he listens to a lot of these chats. He's an old timer. He goes to the Southeast Bee Club. The Southeast Bee Club every month, every month, they have their live meetings.
Is that out
YouTube.
Your area? Is that out
Yeah, it's in Colorado. Yep.
Okay.
But I hear this old timer, Pete, and he'll come on and he'll talk about all of the cutting edge stuff that he hears on these chats, like all like the 21st bee frames, all the stuff that's coming out, the Tech Bee Smoker. That information gets pushed out because one guy's watching these and then goes to his local bee club and says, hey, you got to check this out. You got to check this out. You got to check this out. And he's like an old timer, but he's got his finger to the pulse, and it's really making a big difference.
And I got
it. Yeah.
And that is my biggest frustration with my clubs that I'm associated with. You go there and these people want to become, I think they want to become beekeepers. And it's like, well, you need to be doing this and doing that and going on these chats. And they're like, they're off in left field someplace. And it's like, it's like I had a board meeting and they said, well, we need a speaker talking about getting ready for our mites. I said, I'm already treating now. I says, what I do in July is going to be seen in October or November 1st when I hit them with OA vapor and I have little to no mite drops. And I said, you need to, but they can't get that information across to them. They don't, I said, I have a mite tripping program. I said, I have a program. I know what I'm going to use, when I'm going to use it, the weather temperatures around all the different products and things. And I said, you guys, if you're going to be successful, you got to, study this kind of stuff. Now, like with Big Mike here. Now, like you were saying earlier, he lives in an environment, maybe because it's compressed and because of quality beekeepers around him that are producing quality queens with quality genetics. He's in a microclimate bubble that you're starting to see the results of all these genetics where we don't have to treat as much or none and all that, but I mean, here we're talking about it and trying to figure it all out or try to come up with some ideal about it. But like I say, all these new beekeepers, it just blows over top of their head all the time, constantly. And it just, I don't know, it just irritates me a lot. It's like, come on, study, come on, get your head into the bee world and educate yourself. I said, beekeeping is a science experiment that never quits, and you've got to constantly educate yourself and all. And it takes years to do it. That's what it's done for me. It's taken me years to kind of get where I'm at, and I'm still learning.
Yeah. And that's why you're successful, because you have that attitude. Right? We've watched you spend the past year or two looking at and thinking about Apigard really deeply. We saw that with the Hive Lifter prior to that. You're always thinking about what's the next thing that's going to help me become a better beekeeper. Yeah. And you dive into that research of that topic before, during, and after.
I picked people's brains for 2 years before I did Apigard.
I was just going to say that. I was pestering you for a couple of years. Try it, Charlie. Just try it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. And you finally did.
Well, it was my concern is understanding it. How are the bees going to react to it? Were they going to kill my bees or kill my queen or stuff like that? Now last year was my first year. I started out with a 25 gram thing.
Yeah.
This year I got some experience with it and understanding temperature ranges with the amount of dose. And this year I'm like, okay, I feel confident my bees can handle this product at 85 degrees Fahrenheit up to maybe 90 at 35 grams. And I mean, this coming Saturday and Sunday, I mean, we had a high humidity, high heat throughout the middle of the week, but I think it's all going back down in the 80s again, more in the mid to upper 80s. But I think my bees can stand it. I can, and then another thing is when I threw it on there Saturday, Monday evening, I checked 5 hives and they had cleaned them cards off totally. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I mean, the product is still in there. I get that part, but the flash of gases, that part of it's over with, so they can handle if it's going to be 95 degrees in the middle of the week, because it's the same type of window that you have to make sure of when you're using Formic Pro type of thing.
Yeah.
They're very similar when it comes to temperatures and windows of temperature ranges and things like that. So
it's a good product. I love using it. It really cleans them up pretty good. And I use it at the end of the year. So not at the end of the year, but depending on the season or the summer, whenever summer ends and I get around 80, you're blurry, Charlie. When it gets around 85, 86 degrees, I'll slap it in there, and I always do 4 treatments at 25 grams. That's it. I just found that's just my sweet spot.
Well, you're back to the same situation. Depends on where you live.
Yeah.
You have tremendous heat out there with low humidity. And we probably were 95 degrees here today. The humidity today was worse than what it was yesterday. And I was just soaked in my clothes working outside today, even inside of a building and everything. And all that. There was some question for Mike here. I see
the OA one. Here you go. Nope, sorry.
Is that what you use, Mike? OA?
Yeah, I just use OA.
And you use the vaporizer?
Yeah, 3 of them.
And what's your timing like?
What do you mean?
Like, is it after you pull your honey supers off? Is it at the winter solstice? When do you do that treatment?
Oh, in the fall.
In the fall. Okay.
After the honey supers are off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Laura B. Rob, yeah, and he was stating that when he sells the Easy Ox, oxalic acid, and he's found a lot of folks going towards the OA where they are on a regimen of using OA and pretty much nothing else, and they've been quite successful with it and all. So I don't know whether I use a little bit of everything. To me, the OA is definitely I finally learned to listen to the science, and it's definitely a wintertime treatment for me. It does, has the highest effectiveness and stuff.
So we didn't get a chance to talk, Mike, much about your Mike Palmer experiences. When I was a younger beekeeper, I came across the National Honey Show YouTube channel and found a couple of presentations by Mike Palmer that were pretty foundational in the evolution of my beekeeping philosophy. One was the sustainable apiary, I must have watched that video like 20 times. And it went out and bought a whole bunch of those double nukes and learned how to do. And it wasn't necessarily about the boxes, it was about the mindset. And I use those equipment to this day. It's an integral part of what I do. The other one was the comb honey presentation he did, Mike. I know that with the Mraz family up in the Vermont area, Mike Palmer, there's a big comb honey tradition up there. Do you still see that? Do you see that with Mike Palmer? Talk to us about your Mike Palmer experiences.
He had very little last year. He's had some, they had a drought last year too,
Yeah.
He's had a couple bad years with losses, and I know this year he got hit hard again.
Yeah, it's hard to make comb honey in a drought. You need a nice strong.
Yeah.
It's the best way to make comb honey is in a nice strong flow, and if you don't have that, it's kind of like swimming up water. So I definitely know that. Not today, this week. My flow is over here in Lakewood, but in Aurora, those bees are still bringing in something. I'm not sure what it is, but they're still bringing in something. So I went through all my colonies in my backyard yesterday, and this is where I was making most of my comb honey. I had 2 colonies that most of my comb honey made for me this year, but I had 7 partials that just weren't good enough to get cut up. There were it was just a not complete frame. I took them out to Aurora yesterday to put on a colony. They'll either finish them off and make me a whole bunch of money from that one box, or they'll take back all that honey and empty out those frames. And either way, I'm totally okay with it, because either I gave that colony honey back or it'll really pay off. But comb honey is one of those things that it's not easy to make, and to make it well and to make a lot of it is a bit of a trick. So
you need big hives.
Yeah, that Mike Palmer video has a lot of gold nuggets, that National Honey Show. If you're interested in making comb honey, there's a couple of great books out there for it, but that is the video where I learned a lot of tricks of my comb honey. And Mike Palmer doesn't have a whole lot of presentations out there on YouTube. He's got a couple, but I would say those are the best ones in my experience that I've come across. And he's one of those guys. I've never met him, but if I'm ever in the same room with him, you bet I'm going to shut up and sit down next to him and just listen, because it's like Kent Williams kind of guy, where he's got a lifetime of experience that you just want to absorb if you ever have the opportunity. It seems like he's pretty generous with his knowledge. Is that true, Mike?
With his knowledge, yes.
Yeah.
When we went, Gina and I went up in last year and helped him out after he got a lady hit him from the side and he broke his wrist. So he was really limited. And we went up there and I brought sandwiches and stuff. And it was at the end of the day. We were there for 2 days, and we went in his honey house and made sandwiches. And he just sat there and he was talking about everything under the sun. And it was just, and then I was telling him that someone gave me a book. I'm trying to think of what it is. It's Honey Farming by something Manley, maybe.
R.O.B. Manley?
Yes. So Michael, I said they bought it for me because they know how much I like your beekeeping and stuff. And he got up and he went in the other room and brought out an original and handed it to Gina. She says, "Be careful. It's a little stiff." And she went home and bought an original. She found one online when she got home.
That's awesome.
But he was just telling us stories, and I remember going up there the first time I went up there. I caught queens with him because I was going to a party in the same town, birthday party, and there were boxes out in his yard from was it CZ Orchards, where he originally started beekeeping and running the apple orchards. He still had boxes kicking around from there.
Wow.
He had in his honey house, he did have a hive in his wall. So they've been there a couple years.
Nice.
Yeah, he's very interesting.
All right, I want to honor your time, Mike, because you're on the East Coast. You've got a
Yeah,
late
that's
night.
right.
I don't want to keep
I
you
don't
up.
mind.
Oh,
I'm up. I don't have to go to work tomorrow now.
what do you have going on in the bee yard coming up? I know you're slowed down a little bit with your shoulder.
Tomorrow morning, Gina and I are going in and harvesting queens. She marked out about half of them the other day. There's, I think, 21 marked. And then later in the afternoon, I'm going back in and putting queen cells in.
Gotcha. What will
I can
happen
handle
with those?
putting a queen cell in.
Yeah. What
They're
will
not
happen
that
with
heavy.
those queens you pull? Where do they go?
I'll bank them. I'll put them on the counter for a few days.
Okay.
They'll have attendance.
Now, Mike, with 200 hives, I mean, how often do you touch them hives? Or once a month?
On a good day.
Huh? On a good day?
My honey production hives I don't touch. Like the double nukes, I run around. They need a box, they get a box.
All right.
And
So when
now
you're
town
saying
with all
hives,
these
not all,
queens,
they're not all production hives. They're
no.
there's
Right now, I've got 10 mini mating nukes that I pull brood out of to make more mating nukes. I have 5 pairs of them, and they're 4 deeps tall anyways. And then I have 60 double mating nukes. They're on stands, so you can just walk up to them and do your business and not have to spend your day bending over. I don't know if I have any pictures or not in that video.
I think Charlie, Mike's a little bit like Matt, where he never sleeps and he's always working. Somehow Mike seems to carve more day or hours out of the day to get shit done, because it always seems like you're going from your regular job to go do bee stuff at night, kind of thing.
It's 7 days a week all summer.
Yeah, it seems pretty tireless,
now,
and that's
like your
go ahead,
day
Charlie.
job, which is carpentry, you know, a building and whatever. I mean, are you like, all right, you know, Monday through Friday, I'm out there from 8 to 4:30, and then and after that, you're doing bee work, or do you
8 to 3.
8 to 3, and then after
And
that,
if I need a day off, I take it.
you take a day off and do whatever you need to do?
I'm self-employed, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few times I'll, you know, with the mill, I'll say, look, I need to get out here and get this done because of, you know, weather conditions coming in or whatever. It's going to be changing. And there'll be a few times I'll do that way. And usually it's
Because
Saturday.
your son's going to keep you busy all weekend doing hay.
Yeah, pretty much. He's been.
I used to do hay too. I had to give that up.
Well, he does all that, but buying all this new machinery that is mechanized at all is wonderful. But no, I mean, you know, for us, Saturday mornings I got to work for the mill, you know, for anybody walking in as far as customers go, and then after that, I usually have Saturday afternoons and Sundays to work what I need to do. Or if we got nice, you know, a lot of evenings, we got light until 8 o'clock at night or more, I'll get out there and do small amounts of work throughout the week, depending on what I need to be doing. So that's how I kind of do it. But I don't know, as you get older, you feel like I just can't do all this. You know, it's like, why am I doing all this sometimes? So
I'm pretty driven. I can't sit still.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, it's 11:15 for me. And
yeah, thanks for coming on, filling in, Charlie. Appreciate it. Todd, it's awesome that your yard was okay. It's always nice to get that. It's better. It's better to drive out and see nothing than to drive out and actually have a problem. You know,
I had a big, you know, my mind was playing tricks on me as I was driving out there. But I have a little quick story because you know the background, and Charlie knows the background of the neighbor, and you know, this is about water. And so apparently she had some bees around her taps and stuff like that. And I guess they leak. And so she wanted me to put a bucket of water out, kind of by the hives. And I didn't really feel like explaining to her that they'll keep going to your taps until they dry up before they hit this bucket of water. I didn't feel like doing that. Then, in the same conversation, she wanted me to move them like 400 yards away next to their house. These bees aren't by her house. They're in the middle of everything, in the field. So anyway, I didn't have the heart to tell her, they have a range of like up to 5 miles. So me moving them 400 yards away that way is not going to stop them from hitting your taps. And it almost slipped out that I was going to suggest to her, since you're on a well, it might be a good time to fix leaky taps anyway, but I didn't say a word. So the thing is she asked me to put this bucket out there. So I did. I got a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket. I got a big rock off the property. I put it in the bottom of the bucket. I walked out there acting like it was 60 pounds of water, 25 pounds of water, just in case they were looking. And I put it about 50 yards away from the hives. And then I grabbed a bunch of dry straw and I threw it in there and I pretended like it was floating on the water and stuff, because apparently these people are pretty nosy. So that bucket's still out there too. It's empty, but it's out there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll think that the bees aren't stinging them as much anymore. But yeah, just a funny end to that story. I'm so tired. I'm just babbling.
We're all at that place. Charlie, you've mentioned this. This is that time of the year where we're starting to get burned out. The work is starting to catch up. It's getting cold.
Well,
I'm certainly with you there too.
Well, I think for me, it's like the humidity drains me. Today I came in and I'm like, I had some time in the middle of the day where my brother was off to the doctors or whatever. Anyway, what I did was I had my extractor on the back porch. I manhandled it out on the outside porch and washed it out with a hose and everything to get it cleaned out. And, I got that done at the middle of the day when I had more or less energy. And by 4:30 this afternoon, when working outside with people and other stuff, that humidity just sucks the life right out of me. And then I laid down for a couple hours. And then, of course, you're in the air conditioning and things, you get rested up a little bit and then you're ready to do stuff and that kind of a thing. And that's kind of where we're at with the bees. Like you were saying, you're getting in the latter part of, honey season's over with. I got all the honey in the buckets and it's like, yay. And then it's like, okay, I'm starting my treating and I know what I want to do there. And I'm not having to touch the hives as much. And, but by the time fall hits, you're like, man, I'm ready for them to go to bed and me to take a break. And you're kind of there now. I think a lot of it is because of the heat, humidity for me. It's like I went out this evening around after 7:30 in the evening. And that was only 80 some degrees instead of 90 degrees. And the sun was kind of going down. And it actually felt comfortable to be outside in order you would be comfortable enough to do some work in the bee yard or whatever you wanted to do. And it just, it taps me out and all, but it's like everything else. Come springtime, you're raring to go because let's get into the bees.
Yeah. All right. I got a cool thing to wrap up with. Mike's friend Gina put this together and he sent it to me today. So let me see if perfect. All right. How cool was that? So Gina, Mike's friend, put that together for him. That was really cool. Is there anything in particular that you want to talk about, Mike, from that video? I definitely have one or two things I want to comment on.
Yeah, me too.
Hope it ain't the rabbit.
No, it's the pole. You on a ladder with that pole. I want to hear
Yeah.
that story.
Oh, that one was probably 35, 40 feet up in the air.
Now, I've done that before. It is not easy to keep that pole center of weight, and you're on a ladder, and you're like on the second to top rung of that ladder, and you're like this, and I'm like, dude, I could barely keep my feet underneath me if I was on ground.
Let's consider the mass of you versus me.
Okay. All
I
right.
have a little
Fair
more
enough.
leverage.
All right. I got you there for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Ladders are the place best.
I actually have it's a public service, the electrical company's pole. It's fiberglass. It's pretty rugged. It snaps together. It's 21 feet.
Yeah.
And I put a mesh basket on it, give it a spray, and put a foundation in it. I got one the other day within a few minutes, and it was about 24 feet up, and I did it from the ground.
Cool.
I have to tell you, I used my everything BVAC, and I used my best tool 10-meter hose, but it wouldn't fit in the thick end, and it's a tapered hose, so it increases the volume. Pretty much killed that swarm. They hit the bucket awful hard, even though there was hardly any suction at the big end.
Yeah, I've done that. That was my first swarm catch with a BVAC. I realized that full tilt on the BVAC was the wrong speed for the bees.
Yeah.
JW, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. You came in and then you walked away.
Well, my dog decided he wanted out by the time I popped up in here.
Gotcha.
I've been to bed once. I can't sleep. My hips giving me thunder tonight.
Yeah, I see you limping around. You got surgery coming up soon, huh?
Yeah, a week from Monday.
I have 3 pins in my SI joint. It's not quite the hip, but I definitely know what that was like. I got to the point where I didn't want to walk around the block. I was so bad. So
no, I'm to that point. Yeah, I don't even want to really walk across the room tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that, man.
Part of living. You live long enough, you're gonna have a few problems, I guess.
Yeah,
I've been real fortunate.
Well, good to see you,
I got
man.
a question. Whenever you get your discussion finished,
go for it.
I did a little studying on genetics in my time. Does anybody know what the
Florida
genetics possibilities are on if you mate 2 queens? If I mate 2 cows, there's 27,000 possibilities if you mate the same bull or the same cow.
Right.
Over the years. Does anyone know what the different possibilities are with honeybees? I mean, with the artificial insemination, what heard Charlie was mentioning. I've been sitting back here, kind of listening.
Yeah,
it's going to be right up there since they multiple mate versus a cow that just.
Has anyone done any studies or did any reading? I've looked around for it. I can't find anything. As far as knowing what the possibilities are.
I think one of those people that's a queen breeder would be a good, like I talked to Corey Stevens or, one of those people that are down that rabbit hole deep. Those would be the people I think that could answer that. I don't know anything at all about that, JW.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do, but I'm not telling you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not you, Brian. JW.
Now, I got a question for you, Todd. You're wearing that Naroa hat. Did you watch that Manitoba presentation the other day?
No, this was a free hat at our symposium in February. And I'll tell you what, this hat, it's really a good fitting hat. I like it. It's real comfortable. It's real nice shape. I like it. It's almost like one of those. I heard about them soapstone hats that are nice fitted hats, but
Oh yeah, they're nice.
but
You
yeah,
just
I
heard
like this
about 'em.
one. This one fits really well. It sits just right. I don't take it outside because I don't want to sweat in it. Start a
Yeah.
sweat
Yep.
ring. But it's a good one.
I'll tell you my calamity story from last night. I was spinning out some honey last night, and this is one of those kind of I'm tired at this time of the year. I got to stop working when I'm tired. I was spinning. I pulled a whole bunch of honey from the backyard, and I was spinning out a whole bunch of partials. I come into the house, turn on the extractor, come into the house to wash out a bucket, go back out to the honey house. There's honey all over the floor. I had forgotten to close the gate on the bucket. So I put my bucket on a tray. So it's a big aluminum tray. So at least if I mess something up, the tray's there. This tray had overfilled, and I probably lost. It wasn't much. It was like a gallon. But I have my extractor bolted to a pallet. Everything went in the pallet. I spent like 3 hours last night. DC was talking about how honey's sticky. Yeah, buddy. Drop a gallon on the floor underneath a pallet and then tell me how fun it is to clean it up. And I'm going into my house, tracking it into my house, grabbing stuff. I spent 3 hours last night cleaning up honey. The bees got it all back. Whatever I could clean up, they got back. Anything that had honey on it went outside. But, man, that was one of those. I should have gone to bed an hour ago. What am I doing? So that's where I'm at in the year. If it's to a point where I'm tired, I'm going to stop working because I'm going to make a stupid mistake like that and lose some honey and time.
Fortunately, that won't happen to me this year because I don't have 2 drops to rub together of honey right now, and that's the truth. I have 0 ounce. I have 0.1000 ounce, whatever that would
Do you
be.
need me to send back one of the jars you sent me?
No,
Do you have some?
No.
I think this one's Melissa. I think I remember this story. I think I remember the time that she put it in the back of a vehicle and then Tom had to take it to someone to get it cleaned out.
I do
But
remember hearing that.
Man, honey's a pain to clean up. Holy cow. And I have linoleum. I have a big sheet of linoleum. So it was an easy surface to clean up, but what a pain in the ass. So I had to unbolt my extractor. The pallet ended up just going outside. Here you go, bees. You can clean up the pallet. So I could clean up the floor. But what I decided, because I was thinking about those springs for my extractor, but I was like, well, it's bolted to the pallet. It's pretty good. But it's kind of a pain to move it on the pallet. And I started thinking to myself, well, if it's just on those springs, I could have a little bit more space underneath it. And it was one of those, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But now that I have the thing off the pallet, I'm like, I went ahead and bought them last night. So they'll come in and they'll go back on. The extractor will go back
I
on.
have them on both my extractors.
Yeah. You like
I
them?
got them. Oh, yeah. I can take the small Maxim that does 3 deeps and 6 mediums, and I can put 1 deep in that, with drawn comb, plastic, doesn't matter, and run it right to high, and it stays right there.
Yeah.
And it's not bolted.
So I've probably got to wash the floor 1 or 2 more times. It's mostly cleaned up, but it's still sticky, right?
Hey, do you have a pressure washer?
I don't. No, I'm just using a mop and a bucket.
One of those cheap Ryobis, the electric ones?
Yeah.
In your shop vac?
Okay.
Get your wife to run the shop wet vac and just pressure wash it.
Okay.
Takes 2 minutes. It's done once.
That's a good tip. Thank you.
All right, guys, I got to go. We'll see y'all later.
Good night,
Good
Charlie.
seeing you, Charlie.
Good night, Charlie.
See you, JW.
JW, do you see much genetic resistance in your area? We were talking earlier about pockets of the United States. Like, what where Mike lives, or maybe down by Baton
No,
Rouge?
you won't even hear it even mentioned with the people in my area, probably.
Okay.
It's just not the little bee clubs around me.
Yeah.
Very little discussion concerning, any kind of genetic features when it comes to beekeeping, so to speak.
Okay.
I'm a little bit concerned about your buddy out there, Mr. Prater. Are you on a milk diet, sir? Or you got some on your lips or chin or
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Todd's on spring break.
I'm trying to be like Mike, but it's gonna take a while. Maybe in hobby I might get a third of that.
You're gonna have to grow a little bit, old buddy, if you're gonna be like Mike.
So I have a friend that built me a friendship necklace up north. He makes me go to all the pig roast with it. It's moose teeth, turkey talons. It's got a hawk talon, more moose teeth, and a couple quartz rocks. And he makes me wear it. So for the last 8 years, I've been letting this grow long, and then I put a hair tie on it.
Yeah.
And I cut it off, and I've been saving them because I'm going to make my friendship necklace, and I'm going to use the rainbow colors as if it were my fly tire. I have all the equipment, and I'm going to make him one to wear. Because nothing says friendship like facial hair.
I got one more question for
Oh, that's hysterical.
I must have 6 or 7 up in my bureau, full beard, just clipped off and rubber banded.
I got one more question, if I may interfere, for Brian. While I'm
Go
on
ahead,
here.
JW. Yep.
I'm messing with cream tiny right now, trying to make some in this heat and humidity. Do you use the dice method? Do you use raw honey, or what do you use to make your?
I use essentially the dice method. I don't take my raw honey up to that pasteurization temperature. I'm taking it up to a temperature just to make sure it's liquefied. I have such dry honey, I don't have to worry about fermentation, so I don't have to worry so much about the yeasts in it. So taking it up to that temperature to kill the yeast, I'm not worried about that. I'm just looking to liquefy everything.
I'm having trouble right now getting my honey. I got on, what's this new AI, this chat GPT, or I had my baby, changing the subject. My youngest son, this is how old I am. My youngest son retired today.
Wow.
Congratulations. Right on.
Well, congratulate him.
What is this his first? Is this his first retirement, JW?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, but no, you got me off the subject now. He's privy to all this AI or artificial intelligence type stuff.
Yeah.
And chat GPT, and
it's like Google on steroids.
That a big influence on that. I'm having trouble getting my cream tiny now that it's got hot and so humid here.
So it's just not set.
It's not set. It's not set.
You have it in a fridge,
sir.
You're putting it in a fridge to set.
Yeah, I've got to have some in there for 10 days.
Oh, I leave mine in for like 3 weeks usually.
Oh, really?
I've definitely found that some honeys take longer to set than others.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if your honey is different based on the weather this year than other honeys, but I do think different honeys have taken longer to set. When I started, I was just letting my honey set at room temperature in my house. And since I've gone, what I would do, actually, I would put it in a freezer, drop it down quick, like overnight, and then put it in my house. And that worked really well. I think the type of honey is the biggest factor that I've come across.
I'm using the same honey that I've used, all year. In fact, had
and your
real
fridge
good
is
luck
good.
with it, but now it doesn't. I don't say it doesn't set, it doesn't set to my standards. My standard for my creamed honey is I like to compare it to creamy peanut butter. You know, I don't want it like a lighter. I want a little.
So you're talking about the hardness, the firmness.
Yes,
So the
yes.
other factor there, JW, could be your moisture content. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's going to vary much for you, but that can definitely make your creamed honey harder or softer.
According to the.
So, Brian, I saw you posted a picture of lavender.
Yeah.
Now, do you dry that before you I don't know how to infuse. You're infusing it, right?
That's some of what we do with it. That's not all of what we do with it. But when you infuse anything like lavender into your honey, it's usually a good idea to dehydrate it first so you don't add moisture to that bucket or whatever that honey is in. So yeah, you could put it in fresh, but I wouldn't. But honestly, my honey is so dry here, I probably could, and it might raise the water content a little bit and not matter. But I did have, and it was because I forgot about it. I put some fairly fresh peppers in a bucket one time to make a hot honey, and those peppers went to the top, and I didn't mix it in. And I think if I mixed it in, it would have been fine. But honey as a liquid doesn't flow in a container like water does. It pretty much kind of stays where it is. So you've got to manually stir it. So I think those peppers just fermented the top layer of that bucket, and there was no saving the bucket. So I actually thought I poured it out, but going through my honey house, I found it in the back of the bucket pile. So we have a guy at the farmer's market who does like fermented foods. And I was a little hesitant to sell it just because fermented foods is a whole different world. And I know enough to know you can get people really sick with it. But I know honey, and I know that that's a fairly safe product. And talking to him, he reassured me. So I said, what should I do with it? He said, put it in a jar and sell it. And I was like, will do. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to sell my fermented hot honey. I'm going to put some in, put garlic in some of them too. Do like a fermented garlic hot honey. So that doesn't answer any of your creaming questions at all. But for infusion,
go ahead, Brian.
That's what I was just going to add. Infusion, you always need to think about your water content when putting in that material.
I could tell you a little story on that. Don't put it in your put it in your creamer and forget about it for a week either. You know?
Did it set in your creamer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I made a bunch of hot honeys and cut up. I was using jalapenos. You know, I'd cut them up. I forgot about them, and for a week I went in there and there was this, and all the jalapenos. You wasn't a way to get them out. You know, to strain them out after I did that. And I give it to some people, and I've had people want me to make more of it. They said it was great, you know, with the little jalapeno pieces in it. But I actually, it was a big mistake on my part because I thought it was.
And those are the hardest to replicate too. When you fall into something really, really good, make that again, and you'll never make it that way again.
What, JW? So, are you adding anything to the creamed honey, or is this just
no, sir,
flat, straight out creamed honey? Okay, because
either dehydrated concentrate or the Loran is what I for the liquid.
Well, I'm going to say goodnight, guys. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, Mike, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really.
Good seeing you, JW. Good luck on Monday.
Well, good luck to you.
Yeah, and rest up your shoulder, Mike.
I don't have any choice. I'm getting ready for a sleepless night.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm so doped up now I can't hardly speak. So
Send some this way.
It's just pain pills, but I'm very.
I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, take it easy, man. Thanks for coming on.
Are we still live, sir?
Yes, sir. Do you want
to
end that?
For interrupting. I thought we.
No, you're good.
So I wanted to make this point, JW, to your question, original question. So, the wildflower honey that I had last year, I made creamed honey, and I make it the same way every time in my creamer. I put that in a fridge for like 3-4 weeks, and when I brought it out, it was like if you took a stick of butter and kept it in the freezer for a while. You could scrape it off with a knife, bits of it, and spread it on toast or whatever. But then the same honey, I also made can't remember pumpkin spice, and I use organic powders. So I messed around with this recipe, and it wouldn't harden up, but it would be like what you said, that thick peanut butter. So that's why I was asking about the ingredients, because that's what happened to me, and I didn't care about it, but
Well, I've been making it for a couple years now. Or, when I first started, made the first batch, you guys tried some of it. I don't think it was past year before at St. Louis. I brought it out there. And
I remember.
I've been making it since, and it's people, I can't keep it, when the people, my customers find out I got it. But this GPT stuff that's on this artificial intelligence thing says that the ideal temperature for that stuff to set is 57 degrees. Well, there's no way I can keep it at 57 degrees all the time. So, but I've got some now that's in is that I stirred for up to 72 hours, and then it's been in refrigeration for almost, I think this is the 11th day, and this still doesn't suit me.
Okay, so I have a question though about your creamed honey. What size jar do you put it in, and how much do you charge?
8 ounces. I sell it straight for $10, whether it's wholesale or retail.
So half pint, you said, or
basically half pint. I use the jelly, the small wide mouth jelly jars for it. People seem to like it the best. That's what I'm using.
That's what I do.
Well, I get $20 get $20 a pound for it, but cream, that's the only addition I have. I just double the price.
Yeah. So you can't leave that out.
$10 for all my, liquid honey, so to speak.
So you can't leave that out in the wagon, though, can you? Or do you have it in a cooler in the wagon?
And I've never had any trouble of it breaking down.
It doesn't separate out there?
It doesn't, unless you get to 85. If you leave it set out where it's on the sun, 85 or higher, it'll start breaking down, start separating.
Isn't that like every day right now?
Well, it is right now. I use styrofoam coolers, and there's ice packs, and keep it in there. Like if you guys were taking it to your farmer's market, I do it all on the premises, but I got a 2-inch thick styrofoam cooler, and it'll keep it for a couple of days with those ice packs, and
what's great is your customers know about it. Usually creamed honey is one of those things where people don't know about it, and you have to sell it to them at like a tasting station kind of thing. Sounds like your customers know enough about creamed honey. You can't keep it stocked.
Well, I had to educate them. I just started giving out free samples when I first started making it, and everybody that I gave samples to come back wanting to buy it. So now
there you go.
That's what happened.
I've got a clientele for it. Now I can't make a product that I want to present to them.
You've created the demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to, because nobody else is doing it. There's people that are doing it. There's a couple of people around here that do it, but that's it. There's no market share at all for creamed honey right now. It's wide open. You can make your own market, is what I'm saying.
That's basically what I've done out here. Of course, everybody comes to me. I don't have any wholesale accounts, so to speak. All mine's retail and all private treaty right here on my at my farm, So it's good, bad, or indifferent, but I was just curious. I know you guys, mess with the creamed honey quite a lot. I mean, I have been here the last year, and this is my first period of time, and it's the same honey I've been using for the last year,
Yeah.
So.
Now I remember
I've not
you brought
extracted any this year. It's not new honey. There's no difference in my honey.
Now, I remember you brought that creamed honey batch down to St. Louis that one year, and it was like tacky. It was almost like taffy. Do you remember that? What
Yeah,
did you ever figure out the reason for that?
No, I just didn't have it. It hadn't set long enough when I brought it out there.
Okay.
It hadn't. I hadn't learned I've been doing it. I had my formula that was working for me.
Yeah.
About stirring it from, depending on how much I was making, from 36 hours to 72 hours, just varied. And then I would I would cool it for 4 to 5 days, and it'd be set up to my standard. And I'd put it out but these last 2 bunches that I've made, I can't get it to set up. And I don't know. It's been terribly humid and hot here. It was 97 here yesterday, and the humidity was like in this. It rained today. We had 6 different storms come through. I mean, rain hard. We've had, people all over the country has talked about being so dry.
Yeah.
We're wet. I mean, really wet here.
Yeah.
And, it's good for the honey. We got everything in the world blooming. I'm going to have the flow. I'm going to estimate that my flow will be hanging through the rest of this month and probably part of August, which is real unusual. Usually when it stops here in July, it really stops. We got everything in the world is still blooming, I say everything in the world, everything is naturally blooms this time of year. And, a little bit to the south of me, they've got the goldenrod starting. I'm not close to having goldenrod, blooming here yet. But other than that, everything else that blooms, I've got a good flow going, so. But I haven't extracted any honey, and my bees I won't take it off unless it's dry enough and capped enough to suit me. And last Friday, Matt Ramsbottom come out, and we went to 91 hives, and I actually pulled 17 frames out of the 91 hives and I stuck them in the freezers till I get ready to extract, because I won't stretch my extraction process out. I want to clean up one mess one time. I extract, so
that's a lot of honey though to spin out at one time. Do you have like a team, JW? Do you have a crew, like a Bruce's team, to help you extract?
Yeah, I have a pretty good. I got 3 standard helpers.
Okay.
Me, myself, and I.
Oh. Yeah, I know that one.
There's my reliable helpers. It's Bruce. I sometimes get a little help, but very seldom, honestly.
But that's a lot, man. I know what my honey production looks like, and I know what I have to do to spin out honey. That's a lot of work. You've got a good amount of colonies.
I had 2 years ago. I had a little over 2,200. Last year, I had 1,820.
Okay.
And all of it was extracted by me.
Yeah.
And my 2 helpers.
It's a lot.
Well,
this year I'm having a bad year, so I am thankful for every night I get to stay up late and spin out honey. But in the past, at some point, you're like, oh my God, can I just be done? So this year has definitely put that into perspective for me. Like, I don't have that Sostman crew where I bust it out in a weekend, or like what Bruce does. I'm chipping away at it little by little, and it's a tough time of the year. I have all the lavender that comes to bloom at the same time, so I'm distilling lavender, trying to harvest honey. It's a big time, and we're hitting the peak of our market season, so I'm definitely wiped out a little bit. Yeah, you got some good buddies there that'll come and help you. I'm sure Tom and Matt and Mark will come and help you, JW, if you give them a holler.
Well, I'm pretty independent, you know. I'm not going to holler too loud.
I might come out there and help you, but it'd be in February.
That'll be fine. I'll use you.
Save some phrase for me.
You'd be very welcome.
JW, do you have to think about moisture quite a bit as you're pulling out your honey?
Yeah.
See, that's something I don't have.
Last trouble I had, I never got my honey dried down. You know, that's the reason I leave it in the hive so long, or try to. I want it. You know, these guys talk about extracting uncapped honey. I never do. I want it.
Yeah.
The bees got to be wanting it, have it pretty close before I'll touch it.
Okay.
Yeah. You look at someone
I'd like to bring that up when you're done discussing, Brian. I want to bring that specific topic up.
What topic?
Uncapped honey.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about a little bit. You know, you watch Keith's got a really dialed in system where he's playing that to kind of save him work. Now he adds work on the back end by dehydrating that honey out, but he's got a pretty tight system for doing that. It saves him a lot of time by pulling those frames when they're not capped. I wonder though, like if I were to do that, I'm pulling frames that aren't fully packed out with honey. So is he he seems to get a whole lot of honey every year. Is he leaving honey on the table by pulling that too early? I don't know. It's an interesting system, but I don't know if I could do it. I don't have a flow, I don't think, like he does to be able to do that, pulling frames that much.
I think he's that tulip poplar, you know, is a very prolific producer when it's producer, but it's a short, you know, you have to make hay while the sun shines, as the old farmer said. But
Gotcha.
I'm going to suggest that the majority of his honey comes from this tulip poplar. And that's the guesstimate on my part.
Okay.
You know, I've never really discussed it with Keith, but I think that's his major flow, and it's a very nice honey, but it's a dark honey. You know, it looks like motor oil. But I've got just enough of it in my area to. It's not. I wouldn't even call it a source here. For nectar, I wouldn't consider it a nectar source because I just don't have that population. You got to get about 80 to 100 mile east of me, and then it's prolific, clear to the east coast.
Okay.
It doesn't come quite this far west. But So what are you thinking, Todd, in that regard?
Well, I've been told and always heard that a lot of times the uncapped honey is still good. Obviously, if you do the shake test and it doesn't drip, it's good. But the reason a lot of times why it's uncapped is because the flow stopped. The bees aren't going to take any stored nectar or honey to make wax to cap that honey. They're usually only going to take the flow that's still going on. You know, if it stops, then they don't cap whatever's left. That's you know.
No comment.
I see that happen sometimes, Todd. Other times what I see is they'll take a frame that they've spread out the nectar and they'll consolidate it. So they'll pull the nectar and then pack it and cap. Like they'll pack certain ones and empty out the other ones. And they'll use that nectar that they're emptying out to generate the wax to cap off
I
those.
think that's the case in my case too.
In my area, the biggest flow is oranges in April. I'll get lots of fully capped frames from, you know, corner to corner. But then that last week or so, they don't cap it. It's like they know that the nectar is going to end, so they don't want to use that energy to cap it. They'll just keep filling it up, and then when it ends, that's it. What they've got is what they've got. I've even tested it. I've looked at it with my whatchamacallit. What's it called, Brian?
Refractometer.
Refractometer, yeah. And it's always 16%, 17% at the very most, but it's not capped, and it survives the shake test. There's an older gentleman that I know that's how he was taught. If it doesn't shake nectar, it's time to take it. So
I was shook about that last Friday, Matt and I. And Matt said, I said, we'll shake some of it if none of it came out. He said, "Wait, you ready to pull it?" And I said, "No, put her back. We're going to stick her back in the hive. We're going to wait for another 2 or 3 weeks. See what happens." That's just it. My experience with it out here. If I pull that honey uncapped, I'll have some 20-21% stuff.
Wow.
I'll have to dry it that much. I can tell you that out here. So, but our humidities, people don't realize how our humidity is ferocious.
Well, that's a big one too. If I had humidity, I'd probably have the same problem as you.
Yeah. And it sounds like Tom and Melissa, their flow is, I don't know if it's still coming in, but they haven't pulled honey yet, or they're just getting ready to start pulling honey.
Well, I thought he said, I tuned in that other chat before I went to bed the first time for a few minutes, and he said they was going to start tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
So I haven't pulled up, like I said, 17 frames, I think is what I got in the freezer that we pulled there Friday that was fully capped. Nice looking full frame of honey, but that's all I pulled. And I've got 91 hives through.
I was looking at my schedule coming up, and we have a big festival weekend that we're getting ready for, and I was going to leave a whole bunch of boxes on my colonies and just pull them afterwards. But I went into some of my colonies yesterday in my backyard, and those supers were going backwards. They were taking honey out of those supers. So that's why I decided yesterday to pull a whole bunch of boxes there. And then I went out to my Morrison yard today and pulled a bunch of boxes there. Like sometimes I think if I'm not ready to spin honey, they're safest on the colonies.
Yeah.
But other times I think to myself, if I leave them on the colonies till I'm ready to pull them off, how much honey is going to be left in those boxes when I'm ready for them. And that's for me kind of situational. And I've always got to kind of make that call. But yesterday I was like, ooh, these are going the wrong way. I got to pull them now if I want to produce some more honey.
Well, you're in a different situation than me or a lot of us hobbyists because you're kind of relying on that for your livelihood. To me, it's just a game. I don't. If I make honey, fine. If I don't, that's okay too.
So I drove that box of half finished comb honey supers out to Aurora the other day. Half the reason because it was like 95 degrees, and like most of that work was driving in a truck, and then 10 minutes was going to be outside putting the box on. But the other reason was because if that falls through, that's going to be like $1,000 in that box. That's going to be cut comb, So that was for me worth it to spend that 2 hours going out there to put that box on, where I could see for someone like you, JW, you'd be like, I got what I got. Next year, I'll try it all over again. But I'm trying to maximize. So yeah.
You get like me. Just hope you make it till next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you, man.
Worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you about your creamer. What creamer do you have?
I still use just the KitchenAid. I've got 3 of those.
Okay.
I got 3 KitchenAid. That's what I use. I don't make big batches at a time. 10, 12 pounds at a time.
Yeah, like a gallon
But
at a
I'm
time.
too doped up. I can't always speak, so you have to overlook me people. So
the only reason I was asking, because you talked about forgetting about it and it's set.
Well, let the creamer or let the KitchenAid run for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days before I realized
Oh, jeez.
it was just like, oh, that Play-Doh stuff that the kids play with, with that, and all the bits of the what I'm trying to say, the jalapeno pepper. I just took jalapenos and cut up and infused. I was going to usually run it about 8 or 10 hours, and then strain the pepper fines out of the honey, so it's a nice clear honey that's just hot. But that was nice, clear, and was full of them bits. And people said, "Well, that makes it really good."
So it's like a
So
chunky.
yeah,
It's like a hot, chunky creamed honey.
yeah.
Nice.
I don't know.
So-
A quick story about creamed honey. So one night on one of Bob's chats, this guy named Brian was talking about creamed honey, and he got this like big corkscrew type, bit that he put on, at the end of these drills. And I thought, dang, I could do that. So I started hunting around for these things. I finally, Better Bee had one of those corkscrew things, and so I bought one of those, and I made it in buckets for a little while, and I had a couple of buckets going, and I come home from work, I'd run in the house and just sit there for about 30 minutes, and spin it around. I'd wake up in the morning, do the same thing. If it's the weekend, I'll do it 3 times. And then I said, the hell with this, man. This is crazy. So I bought a creamer, and you just pour it in there, put all the stuff in there and turn it on and walk away. So that's what I do now. But yeah, it's Brian's fault that I start making creamed honey now.
Hopefully
No,
it's my fault. A lot of people.
Part of my demise too, downfall.
Yeah,
I think
good.
he influenced my. Everybody was talking about how good he was at it, and I said, well, I'm going to put him out of business. I'll just start like that. Oh.
Well, I'm ready to venture on in my next journey in creamed honey. That Cream Pal should be on its way.
Oh,
so I'm excited. Yeah, so I'm
you
excited.
got an email?
Yeah, I got the email. I paid the invoice. So we'll see how long it takes to get here from Canada, because that's like a world away, right?
It'll be sitting in someone's warehouse for a week.
Yeah, we'll see. So
before it moves,
but
right at the border.
That'll change my process for sure. I'm not sure how it's going to change my process. It's going to be an experimental kind of thing for sure.
Time is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It only does like a gallon at a time, Todd, and you usually have to do like 2 or 3 runs for it. Like you do it once, you put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours, pull it out again, do it again,
that's right.
and then you can jar it. That's one of the ways they showed doing it. But I'm wondering if I can take creamed honey out of my other creamer and then put it through the Cream Pal. What is that going to do for it? Like, or using the Cream Pal to add the powdered flavoring. I'm thinking about how to add this into my system, not just abandon my old creamer and start with a new one, because it is going to be very different.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about creamed honey, and like one of the selling points for me is they said the creamed honey does better in the summer in the heat. It might turn a little darker, but it's not going to separate. So I will put that theory to the test. So they will get my feedback on that one for sure. So
you've actually had a little problem in the past with it separating with the heat.
Absolutely.
At your markets, have you fellas?
Yeah.
I've never been through that, because when I started putting it out and I started using those coolers and those ice packs, and I'd replace the packs every day, even out there in I had a good Yeti cooler, and the styrofoam cooler keeps better and longer than the high dollar plastic cooler. So I just started using them. So
I'll even have JW. I'll have my testers. If I leave them out on the table on a hot day all day, they will start to separate. So I've gotten to on the hottest days, I have like a little lunch bag that has an ice pack in it. So I've got my liquid honeys up front and then my creamed honeys in the cooler right behind it. And then I'll have a sign saying creamed honeys that we have today, ask for a sample, because they don't end up out on the table. Like I'll put like 2 of each one out right at the beginning of the day. But once it gets to a certain temperature, everything will come off the table and stay in the cooler. The other time where it separates really quickly is if you push that setting time, like, oh, it's ready. It doesn't need another day or two. If you bring it to a hot day, it's going to separate a whole lot quicker. It's better just to leave it in the refrigerator for another week.
See, I've never had a problem with separation, but I've always kept it pretty cool on hand. I would tell folks, and everybody said that it worked. If you kept it at room temperature, don't set it out in the hot sun, you know, like out there on my little sales buggy that I got, you know, that I sell everything off of. But I'd never had a complaint of it breaking down, you know. But this stuff here, I'm having, just like I said, these last 2 batches, I don't know for some reason, but our humidity's been terrible and our heat's been terrible. I mean,
that might be it.
In the 90s with 80 humidities, you know, so maybe that's part of my problem. But I've never diced anything. I just use strictly raw honey, and I use the Cox's. I even had made some of my own seed, and I thought, well, maybe that's what's doing it. You know, and I went back to the Cox's, and it did the same thing on the second batch. So I just, I'm rooting into your chat and then talk about stuff that's immaterial to anybody besides me, I suppose. But I knew you were the expert on the creamed honey. So
when you get Cox's, are you getting a gallon and then they ship it to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just get it off of Amazon. Heck, I'll have it the next day.
Yeah.
From Amazon at gallons or.
I'm hesitant to ship creamed honey in the summertime just because I don't know how it's going to be treated. I worry about it separating in the heat. I know that Cox, I heard someone else, I don't know if it was you or someone else tell a story how they bought Cox's honey on Amazon, weren't happy with it because it separated.
I've never had a bit of trouble, and I've probably bought, I don't know, in the last year, I've probably bought, I don't know, 4 or 5 gallons of their seed.
Okay.
You use it for seed, you know.
You know what I bought at Nobby last year or this year, whatever you want to call it. The last Nobby is I went up to data, and as a matter of fact, Big Mike told me about it. It was that dehydrated powder.
Yeah.
And I tried it. Well, I don't know. I think it was in February or March. Man, that stuff came out really nice. I was really shocked about how well that turned out. I couldn't believe it. It was pretty good. And it's inexpensive. I forgot how much it is, or I want to say it was like $2.50 a bag or something like that. I don't know, or dollars. No, can't be $1, but I mean really cheap.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Have you
well,
made
Brian's got one on the way, Tom. Brian's got a cream pal on the way. He'll be our leader.
Yeah.
He'll go broke first, and the rest of us will just have to follow.
Yeah. Sorry, my comments, I was like, must have been like an hour behind my comments. And I was like, man, no one's commented in a really long time. No, I just had to scroll down. So I was like, what is JW talking about? Yeah, it should be coming in the mail. I got the email. I paid the invoice. So mine should be on my way. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys, I got to get going. I gotta prepare for my weekend still, and I got some honey to jar. It's great talking to you all. Todd, I'm glad that your bee adventure was unadventurous, right? Sometimes that's the best way.
Yeah.
JW, great seeing you, man. Take care of yourself. We'll be thinking about you.
Yeah.
We know that you're gonna have a
big
day.
I'm not too concerned about it. That's it. It's an outpatient surgery. I'm having the hip replaced.
Yeah.
And go in the morning, don't have any problem, go home that evening. No, everybody that's had them around here, this physician brags on him, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate, this is my first major kind of a problem. It all come about. I went out to Matt's, and Mark Miller and I got together out to Matt's and doing some grafting and so forth out there. It'll be 6 weeks yesterday. And it just started coming on, just kept getting worse and worse. Now finally I got a hold of my primary, and he was a buddy with the orthopedic guy, and he got me right in. So they first told me it'd be 5 months before they could even do the surgery, and they had a cancellation for the 27th, and then I said I'll take it. So that's
that's a good deal.
My surgery for my hip, the SI joint, was like a week before everything shut down with COVID. And I was like, because that if it was like a week later, that would have been pushed back for
sure.
Who knows how long. Yeah. Yep. So I got lucky there. All right, everyone. Everyone, thanks for hanging in with us. I know it's a late night for some of you on the East Coast. Great seeing you all.
Don't forget
for joining us.
Don't forget, next show is July 30th.
Perfect.
It'll be on my channel.
Awesome. And then Brian. Tomorrow night we got Charlie. Saturday night Joey's. So you guys know the usual routine. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great night, everybody.
Good night, y'all. I didn't know we were still alive.
Press the right button, Todd. The right red button.
All right, here we go.